Can I ask you a crazy question?
Sure, but it'd be crazy though. No.
If you want to use your life, it's because you hate your life right now. You hate what you're doing.
So that's the vulnerability in itself. Like, you're open to it being present now. You're not buying anything I just said, are you? Look at that face.
I'm dreaming, oh, I believe in this dream I've been dreaming, oh, I'm dreaming, oh, I believe in this dream I've been dreaming, oh.
So we got Dr. Tess in the house, world-renowned psychologist, psychic, mentalist.
I'm not a psychic. I'm not mentalist.
Mentalist, influencer, girl boss, provocateur.
Yeah. And, yes, I'll take that.
And troublemaker. Okay, I'm getting too
excited. Wait. Can you wait? I have to show you something.
Is it the onesie?
This is gonna. No, it's not the onesie, but this will go beautifully with the onesie. Check it out. Right, little handbag. It's a little handbag.
Oh snap!
Boss lady.
Nice.
Hello.
That's a pretty sick. That's a weapon. That thing.
Sharp edges as well.
That's a weapon.
Do not mess with me. I mean, imagine that, and a purple jumpsuit. We're in business.
You didn't want to mess with Tess to begin with, but with that weapon, it almost looks like there's going to be like that's a little James Bond purse. There's like 14 different assassination kind of weapons in there.
I know, and it's like it. Absolutely.
That's not a mascara pen. Nope. That's a poison dart coming at your face. Yeah.
We actually have a book in the house about World War II. We've got a few books. We're looking at World War II at the moment, and there's a section on espionage and there's spy weaponry, and it's so cool. You know, I grew up watching James Bond, and you know, there's always that scene in a James Bond film where they are in the lab where they've devised some latest amazing, you know, pen that can kill you and things like that. But they literally had those things. They literally had pencils that were cameras and all sorts of crazy things. Really, really cool. So that's what's in my boss lady bag.
I like it.
Espionage tools, yes.
I like it. So when was the last time when did we speak last?
I feel like it. I don't know. I feel like it's been a long time.
It was before Puerto Rico, right? We didn't talk about my presentation in Puerto Rico.
Yes, we did. We spoke about how you killed it. You nailed it.
Oh, we did talk about it. So, but then we've spoken recently. Now we're like, I think we're getting ahead.
And you were going to see Brendan, but I can't recall if I've spoken to you since you were at Puerto Rico.
Wait, I was going to go see Brendan?
No. You were going to the resort. I can't recall if I've spoken to you since then. It does seem like a long time though.
Oh, so we must have done our session while I was in Puerto Rico.
We did.
Oh,
okay. You were showing off the view.
Oh, okay. So it's in between my speech and then the mastermind that I did.
Yes, I think so.
Got it. Okay. So we stuck around for a couple extra days.
It looked amazing. I saw.
Yeah, I don't care. I mean, it's great.
You don't care.
Living on the beach is not my thing. Yeah. The mastermind was awesome, but it was only to the last day. We woke up, I went to his place, and then I didn't get back till 10 o'clock. So it's like dark when I left, dark when I got home. And then on the last day we had half a day, and like, wow, look at the view that we have here. This is crazy. Anyway, so I had 3 or 4 days in between. And instead of going home, Nina came down. Yeah. I had to buy an iPhone just for the thing.
That's right.
Now I have an iPhone. Here it is. Nina flew down with.
Are you using it? Are you in love with it?
I'm using it. I'm not in love with it, but I'm used to it now. The Instagram. Did we talk about the Instagram story?
We tell me again. You mentioned it before, but I can't remember what was so special.
It has the stabilization on the stories.
Yes. Oh, I remember that. I've been talking about that nonstop since you mentioned that. Yeah.
That I love. There's some annoying things like you can't download Instagram Lives on here.
That drives me crazy. That's right. Yeah. So that's why I have thought of getting an Android.
Well, here's the thing. You can download. There's a little button at the top left that shows up that lets you download it after you're done. If you went live only by yourself.
Ah.
So when you're done, if you go live and you're just doing Q&A, or you're just going on some kind of rant or showing up your houseboat or whatever, when you're done, it'll say share the story or delete, right? But in the top left corner, there's this little down arrow.
Yeah.
If you click that before you click share the story, you can download it to your phone. But if
It's a little bit
anybody
like
came
Facebook.
in, yes, but you have to. But
Yeah.
once you click share the story,
It's gone.
that
You
option
can't
is
download
gone.
it. Yeah, that's right. Yeah.
But if you bring anybody in on your live, then you can't download it.
And that's pretty cool privacy protection, I guess, for the other person.
They're
I know,
doing an
it's
Instagram
annoying,
live in public. Like it's a live.
I know.
Jesus. Anyway,
Yeah, I know.
so I have an Android just for that. Okay,
Yeah.
so what happened next? So we had.
Oh, so you're using an Android. You're using an Android for Instagram Lives, and you're using the iPhone for everything else.
No, I use this still for Instagram Lives because it has stabilization in case something happens. But I use the Android just to download the Instagram Lives and put them. So I have copies of them.
Gotcha.
Yeah, that's
Got it.
basically all we use the Android for.
Mm.
I mean, this is a better phone than what I had. It's got a better camera, more space, all the other gear, whatever. All I care about is the better camera, and it has stabilization on Instagram, and I can iMessage Brendan and the whole group.
Yeah.
It's Brendan
Okay,
Bouchard's
so you
birthday
went to
today, by the way. Turned 43.
Happy birthday, Brendan.
Happy birthday, Brendan. Although this is coming out at some point in the future.
Yeah.
So we went, and you'd be proud of me. So this is good. So I went. We had 3
Always.
days. I felt well. Hopefully not always. Jeez, I have to disappoint you sometimes. Otherwise, what am I doing? Right.
Okay, go on. Well, again, I'm still waiting on my purple jumpsuit. I mean, you want to talk about disappointment? Let's go
Right,
there.
there you go. Right, come on, Carmichael, get your act together. So Brendan told me on the first day, like, hey, you have to go and make sure that you get what you came for. Like, you got to ask people for things, and I'm such a giver that I also have to make sure that I'm asking people for whatever I need to get out of this event, right? So it's 20, 25 people, something like that. And everybody is like great at what they do. And we weren't supposed to say the names, but then they took pictures and put it all over the Instagram. So it's guys like Jay Shetty and Tom Bilyeu and Dean Graziosi and Russell Brunson, sort of ClickFunnels, and also some awesome people I'd never heard of, like the woman who just sold a business for $1.4 billion. It Cosmetics. I think it's called It Cosmetics. Anyway, she's awesome. And a bunch of other super successful people who may not be like front line names, but they're the best at what they do. So, a lot of the stuff that I teach in my books and in my materials and everything, they're teaching it too, right? Like, believe in personal development, and like that's what Brendan and Dean and a lot of these guys, Lewis Howes and Jay Shetty, like they're all teaching it themselves, just their own version of it. So really, like, YouTube is a thing that I'm just way better. Oh, we got a guest behind you.
Who have we got? As a Henry.
He's sneaking in. He almost didn't have clothes on. We almost had a streaker. Right? We almost had a streaker. So YouTube became the thing that, like, what am I world class at that I'm way better than anybody at this table? YouTube. Yeah. So I was helping people with the YouTube, but not, not all the conversations filtered around YouTube because they're talking about other stuff. So then I started asking people for stuff. So I brought my book. I have my book. This is it. This is the real thing. This is the actual Built to Serve. Yeah, this is it. This is cool. It's awesome. Anyway, so my wife brought down Your One Word, my first book, wrapped in Built to Serve, the book. So I had a copy of it, but it wasn't a real copy. And so my first ask was, okay, I want to try to get some pictures with people and help promote the book, right? And some guys I knew would say yes, like Brendan would say yes, and Dean would say yes, and Tom Elise would say yes, and Lewis would say yes, like people who I already had a relationship with. But some of the other people who I had just met at that event and had very little context on made me nervous to say, hey, like, you want to take a picture with my book?
Yeah.
But by the last day, like I did, pretty much anybody who was a name, like anybody who had any kind of following, I took a book and hedged it a little bit to say like, hey, let's take a picture together, and we could do one with the book that helps promote me, or we could just do one without the book if that's uncomfortable. And everybody said with the book. So I was like, okay, great. Hey.
Nice.
So we got a whole bunch of pictures. Brendan said one of his best strategies for his book was he had different people read a couple sentences from it. So he had Larry King read like 2-3 sentences of his book, made that into a video, and promoted it. So then I asked him, hey, Brendan, will you read 2-3 sentences from my book? He's like, yep, I'll do it.
Nice.
Problem was I didn't have a copy of the book for him to read. So I went to my laptop, downloaded my ebook version, opened up Your One Word, found a blank page, and wrote out lines from Built to Serve in there. And so he held up what looked like Built to Serve with lines from Built to Serve, and then read it, which is great. And I'm panicking that like he's not going to read my handwriting. It was like the neatest handwriting I've ever done, because he's got to read it in front of the camera. And I mean, I guess if he messed up, it's fine, but I was panicking. So we got that. But I also made some asks that then I got no's on, right? So which excited me, because it's always like, yeah, ask, and of course you're going to get a yes. Of course people support you. It's like, oh yes, of course Brendan said yes, and of course people take a picture with the book. Great, but then what happens when they say no? What happens when you don't get what you asked for? What happens when like maybe you ask for too much and you right? So I had to find,
handle it?
I had to find out where the line was, right? Because this stuff now is getting too easy. So now like, okay, I need to ask for something more. And I need to get shut down. I need to get rejected. Like, where's the line until I get shut down? It's like, it's too far. Which was around the email campaign. So part of what a lot of people are asking for is around books, right? Like Jay Shetty is launching his book, and Prince, I think Prince E is getting his book. Anyway, a couple people are launching their books, and Brendan and Dean are like, and Russell Brunson are the masters of the book sequence funnel email follow-ups. So I asked Brendan's guy and I asked Russell for their email sequences. And he said no. They politely said basically just, well, sign up for mine and you'll get them. Like, just go to the landing page. But there's so many. There's like abandoned cart sequences, and then anyway. So they could have just exported it and sent it to me, but they didn't want to. And nobody's like sharing their exact emails. Anyway, so across the line, that's a no. It's a hard no. I got my hand, slapped in the cookie jar. So it was good. It was good.
And it's good. I think it's good to ask the questions too, because some people, obviously, some people will say yes to things that you expect them to say no to, and vice versa. And I think you do need to test those boundaries sometimes, especially, with peers who are, whether they're formal mentors or just, peer mentors. People will share incredible things sometimes, but you also need to know, like you say, where the boundary is. There's nothing wrong with asking. It also takes courage, to ask those questions and pushing yourself.
I'm happy. And then I asked Brendan if I could speak at his event that just happened in wherever, San Diego. Yeah. And he didn't write back.
So,
So, ouch. Which is great. Right? Like, message me back and other stuff, but not that. It's like, okay, so it's a no. It's fine. I mean, I spoke at his last 2 events, and I just was at his mastermind. It's like, okay, maybe it's too much, Evan. That's okay. It's fine.
Okay. Okay.
And then I emailed and I asked somebody else for something else, not in the group, something else, and didn't get a response. Like, okay, great. Feeling the, the thing in my head was when Oprah started making money, she had a bunch of people message her to say, hey, can you donate to this cause and this cause and this cause? And she always felt like she had to say yes because she felt bad about disappointing people. And then then finally she decided she's going to say no. Like unless it's actually part of what she cares about, she's going to say no. And so the next guy who called her was, you know, a dear friend of hers who wanted her support for some cause that was important to him. And she said, I'm sorry, I can't on this one. So it's a no. And then the guy said, okay. And then she said, okay, like that's it, just like that. She had this big thing in her head that he was gonna like not be her friend anymore. And anyway, so just kind of getting used to that, I guess. So I've made a habit of every day trying to do something that is just a little bit outside the comfort zone, whether it's an ask, whether it's a challenge, a task. So yeah, and some people write back and say yes, and sometimes they don't. So I'm gonna have a bunch of them coming up because I got my book coming up. There's a bunch of people
where's the book release date? Is it still the date you thought it was going to be? Still March
17th. Yeah, locked in.
Wow, fantastic.
Yeah, so coming up.
It feels like that's come around so quickly.
Yeah, we're tight.
2
like
weeks?
we're basically just over 2 weeks from when we're recording this. I don't know by the time this is up, but like its book is soon. Like it might even be like launch day. I don't know. So we're from 2 weeks out. So from Tuesday out, I'm doing a big campaign, pre-order. I'm actually launching it while I'm in San Diego because I'm speaking at this social media marketing world. Yeah, so excited.
Yeah.
So
wow.
I'm gonna have to hit up all my influential friends and say, hey, can I come on your show? Hey, do you mind reading a passage from my book? Hey, you know, which causes me anxiety. So great, now we got to do it. I've been waiting to actually get copies of the book. So they only sent me 12. It's like, what am I going to do with 12? I can't do anything with 12 copies. I need like, what are we doing here? We got to, right? We got to get copies out to people to build momentum, right?
Yeah.
I'm going to my dog's going to eat one, and then it'll, you know, like something's going to get torn up, and you know, what are you going to do with 12, right? So I'm just waiting for them. We have some hitting the US. I got a warehouse there, and then I got a bunch coming to Canada. Yeah, and then I got to start reaching out and hitting people up and saying, hey, can I come on your show, or can you do a reading for me, or what? So that's going to cause me anxiety, but it's good.
It's good though. It is good.
Time to get into ask mode. Because the default to give mode. So we're going to get into ask mode. It's going to happen.
That's nice. I like it. And what's happened with getting back into the US?
So I mean, I got in. When I talked to you, I was in Puerto Rico. That's in the U.S. You still go through U.S., even though it's a territory or whatever that is.
Yeah, right.
It's you go through U.S. immigration. So I'm probably gonna have to do the same thing. Like until I get my visa, I'm gonna get flagged every time I go down.
So did you get any hassle when you went to Puerto Rico?
Oh yeah. Oh my gosh. First off, you got to stand in a. Well, listen, this is not even first world problems, but you got to stand in the main line, right? Because they took my Nexus.
No.
I got the Nexus card, which then lets you just skip
go through
everything, right?
Yep.
But and even if you're flying business class, in Europe, if you're flying business class, you get a different line.
Yeah.
Here at Air Canada terminal, you don't. It's like one big line, or you have Nexus. So first you have to sit in the giant line. And then once you get to the front of the line, they take you to immigration. So it's just a giant, and then you sit there for an hour waiting to get, you know, your turn to come up, and you know, they're supposed to be hard on you, and they're trying to catch people who have histories and a record or whatever, right? So fair enough. So I'm expecting that on Sunday. We have to be at my flight's at 8 something, so I got to be there like, I don't know, at 5, just to sit there and make sure I get through everything. And I've got another event. I'm speaking at Russell Brunson's book launch in Boise. I forget when that is. Anyway, we'll see when I get my visa, and hopefully that speeds everything up, so then I can apply for my Nexus again. And just kind of pains to make it happen. But getting to Puerto Rico was a big deal, and that like, okay, I can still get into the US. I just can't go do a 90-day tour, right? So
Yeah. Okay.
yeah, and there's nothing on my history. I've been traveling to the US for
Yeah.
20 years, never stopped for anything ever. So, one guy on a bad day
And
whatever.
everything changes for a while.
Yeah, we'll see.
For a
We'll
while.
see. I
Until
still
it
maybe
goes
get
back to
flagged by
normal.
immigration, but at least I can skip the first line and get right there.
Maybe.
Anyway, so what I've been trying to work on since that Puerto Rico speech that actually just went up on my YouTube channel, so you can see the
Cool.
Dr. Tess magic happening in action, the vulnerability on stage, the authenticity, the crap challenge coming out. I've been trying to find ways to work it into more stuff, more content, my videos, that was the kind of the homework after our last session, is like, how do you make that part of your daily thing? So yesterday was my interview public facing day, and I'm trying to share about how I get anxiety and nervous to do things. And I can do it in some contexts. It makes a lot of sense. And others, it's still just like bold, confident. I know exactly what I'm talking about, and you have to go do this thing right now. So I haven't figured out how to bring it into everything, but it's a work in progress.
But then it can't be forced either. You can't bring vulnerability. You can't turn vulnerability on just because you want it there. Vulnerability is being open to what comes. And if confidence is what comes, then that's fine. I noticed, I was actually talking to my husband about this last night over dinner, about the trip I've been on, and noticing just little things about the colors, I guess, of how we interact with each other, not my husband and I, but how people interact with each other. And noticing when you step into that confidence zone, when it feels right, it feels right. And you can't force confidence, just as you can't force vulnerability. It's just illogical to assume that you can force vulnerability. But I think what I'm loving is that you're open to it. So that's the vulnerability in itself. Like, you're open to it being present now. You're open to the fact that it exists. It's there. You're not buying anything I just said, are you? Look at that face.
Yeah, I don't think it's a black and white thing, but I think you can. I think I can do it a lot more. I think in almost every circumstance you could. Like, even in how I answer your question, I could choose to lean into vulnerability and tell one story, or choose to lean into confidence and tell something else.
Yeah, true. I think the difference that I noticed is that you're more aware of an option there for the option to lean into the vulnerability, or you're aware of the opportunity to be vulnerable, rather than it being glossed over. And I remember, our very early conversations, you were not able to really recall moments where that would have been possible.
Right. I didn't know how to do it.
It's much more present now.
I was open to it. I was open to it. I just didn't know how to do it.
Yeah. So I think it's about opportunities, recognizing an opportunity when it presents itself to be real and present and authentic, all those words that we throw around easily, but they actually do mean something very, very powerful. I talk a lot about authenticity and integrity and what that actually means, and how it sits with strength and vulnerability all in the one melting pot. Being open to the opportunities to step into that and just be your real you.
Right.
It's gold when those opportunities come. They're pretty special.
So I think the reason why I was like moving while you were talking is, one, I have a piece of celery stuck in the back of my mouth that I can't get out. It was really bothering me.
Is that what's going on?
And two, it's easy to take what you said and then use it as an excuse for not to take action.
Oh yeah, well, that's true.
Right. And that, like, oh, well, in that conversation, there was just no opportunity for me to be vulnerable. So I crushed it and was confident. But like, I could have made it happen somewhere in like a half-hour conversation. There's no way for me to inject vulnerability into it.
Yeah.
I think that's
Yeah.
right.
Yeah.
So that's like where I don't want to give myself the out, you know? I think it's possible with every conversation, maybe not in every question, but somewhere in a half-hour interview, there's got to be a way to inject vulnerability in something that makes me scared, right? So that's like on my mind. I'm trying to. So if I don't get it, it's easy for me to slip back into confident. Here's what you do. Here's the same 18 questions that get asked over and over again. And like, I'm going to crush this interview. Let's go. That's like just show up in tons of fun. It takes an extra step of thinking to say, okay, like maybe I answered a slightly different way and try to bring the vulnerability in.
Yeah. I know what you're saying. I use humor to deflect vulnerability. So when I get silly, when I get, raucous, when I'm making people laugh, which I do a lot of, it's often not always, but it's often one of my little shields that I carry around to keep the vulnerability at bay, especially if we're talking about, difficult times that I might have had as a kid or difficult times I might have even had as a business owner. And I'm happy to talk about difficult times in business. But when we talk about how I felt about it, sometimes that humor comes up as my defensive shield. And I think that we all have our own variation on that theme. And for you, it's the crushing it stuff. I'm going to launch into just being really powerful, and I know exactly and confident that.
I still don't feel though like it's a shield. Like I don't mind telling it, as long as it doesn't throw somebody else under the bus, right? Like I'm not going to talk about my mom or something, or my dad or my wife or sister in a context that I know they wouldn't appreciate. But anything about me, whatever, I don't care. So I don't see it as a shield that I'm like protecting myself, and so I'm going to go into confidence. It's more that I don't even have the awareness to know that, oh, if I told the story this way, maybe it could have a much bigger impact, because people love that stuff, right? Like I ended the speech. I think I should always, I'm thinking of leading my speech with this on Sunday, where I ended my speech last time saying, I will never come and talk to you, but please come and talk to me. Because I told them that I'm introverted and have anxiety, and like I never talk to strangers and I'll never go up, but I love serving, I love helping, I want you to get a result. So please, I'm here for 3 more days. If you see me in the hall, you have a question, please come up and talk to me, because I will never come and talk to you. And everybody laughed. And a bunch of introverts came up afterwards and like, I normally don't come and talk to people, but because you said that.
Now, I love that.
And like some people wanted a hug and
oh yeah.
Right. So in that, it's like, it's giving people more permission to come and ask me questions and make them feel more confident that it's possible for them, even if they're introverted or shy or have anxiety to do things. So it's like, it actually gets my message out better to a mass audience, as opposed to just the confidence in what I'm doing and the message. Yeah,
because it's relatable. I think we talked about this before. People recognize themselves in what you say. It's like, oh my God. And that was the whole point of your talk, right? People recognized the anxiety before going on stage. Whereas if you never let people into that, people will think they can't aspire to do or be anything like you, because you've got it all together, and they just don't feel like they could ever have it all together as much as you do. And this is where openness to vulnerability and sharing is so powerful, because it's about connection. People can connect with that, they can relate to that, they see themselves in your journey or your story or your anxiety, and think, oh well, maybe I could. Maybe I could.
People have a lot of anxiety.
A lot of people do. I'm thinking about also Adele, who has, Adele has spoken about her anxiety and the fact that it was taking so much out of her to sing live on stage, because she could overcome the anxiety, but it just would then thoroughly deplete her.
Right.
She's, at least for now, decided not to. Well, I don't know if this is true, but my understanding is she's decided to take a break from live performance, just to not go through that for a while.
See, I hate that.
Dead. I'm dead.
I hate that.
However.
Oh my God.
Yeah.
Like, that's my fear. It's like that I'm gonna not do it because of anxiety. It's like, there's no way, even if I thought that, there's no way I'm gonna do that.
But I
Destroys
can
me.
understand her prioritizing too. She's got a young kid, you know,
100%.
where's she putting her energies? You know,
I'm
as
not
long as she
judging
keeps-
her. I'm judging
No,
myself.
no, of course not. Yeah,
I'm judging
exactly.
myself
the
for making a
choices.
decision. So
We all
I
make different choices.
updated my Instagram bio to
Did you?
introvert
Oh,
entrepreneur
you told me this. Yes.
trying to solve the world's biggest problem. My number one fear is disappointing you. Networking events give me anxiety. # belief.
Love it. Yeah, love it.
We'll
love
see.
it.
I mean, Instagram bios, Twitter bios are
Yeah.
a constant evolution, right? You don't stick with one for 5 years.
Yeah.
That may not be the final version, but definitely, I have to lean into it more. Yeah. I'm just thinking. I had like 8 or 10 different interviews yesterday. I could have maybe half of them I did a really good job on, and the other half I either totally missed it or just kind of surface level stuff.
Yeah.
I was very excited because I was supposed to do an interview I was going to interview a woman on Instagram who's like a TV show host and female entrepreneur. And I'm trying to get more women entrepreneurs on my show, period. So I was pumped for that.
Yeah.
But she posted on her Instagram, and this is what my guy who's booking these people for me, I had no idea who she was. Right. We talked about that causing me anxiety before, right? Like, I don't know who they are. I need to prepare. I need to have like this entire, right. So I now figure, hey, if they have a sizable Instagram following and whether they're an actress or a singer or I can find something around success to connect with them on.
Yeah.
Right. Even if they're not an entrepreneur, like if they're building their movie career or something, I could still find something to have a group conversation because believe runs through everybody.
All of it. So
that gave the freedom to my guy to say, hey, you know what? Just anybody over 250K who has some kind of positive message, reach out and let's do an interview. So that's his mandate. So he booked this woman on, and I looked through her Instagram feed and she had this post about having anxiety and said, this is it. This is my chance. This is going to be the anxiety show. I'm going to ask her how she handles it because she's a TV host. How do you deal with it when you go on TV? And I figured and that was it. That was the amount of research I did because I figured from the conversation, just trust that Evan will take over and we'll have a great conversation. Yeah. She got the time wrong. She's on the West Coast. I'm on the East Coast. She got it flipped. So we didn't end up having it. But whatever, like we're rescheduling, we're gonna make it happen. Yeah. But that's the worst part, right? It's like you get I had so much anxiety for getting into the call, and then we're here and then she doesn't show up. Like, come on, are you kidding me? Then it feels worse.
It's awful. Yeah, it's awful.
Anyway,
it's really rough. Yeah.
I still think that's the biggest challenge is figuring out how to incorporate more into my videos, into my speeches, into the content. I'm just looking at my Instagram feed right now. It's like I don't apart from my bio, I don't see that popping up enough.
Yeah. I mean, I think everybody's got those little vulnerabilities, and I find it very hard to be directive with people who I think know more about something than I do. And one of the things I did while I was away on the houseboat was I actually talked through some of the things I need from Steve. Like, it was actually our mutual agent, Steve. Some of the things that I need help with from Steve, and to be really clear and directive. And I know that that's what Steve has wanted from me, but I've found that a challenge. I found it made me feel very tricky, I guess, around, well, how directive can I be? How pushy can I be? So one of the things I did with Nicola on this houseboat was, okay, let's get clear. Let's figure out what it is you want. Let's figure out how you're going to, how that looks. Let's get to be direct. And so the email went out and he hasn't replied. But it was hard for me to be open to being that directive. And now that I've done it once, I can do it again, and I think for a lot of people, there are these things that it's too hard, I can't do it, full stop. And I think a lot of people forget to put the yet at the end of that statement. Like, I can't do it yet, but if I can just do it once, then maybe then I could do it again and again and again, like live streaming and all of those things that people find so challenging. I haven't done it yet, as opposed to I can't do it ever. This is a subtle language difference, but it's important.
Yeah. I'll trigger earlier on the when you said it's too hard or it's too big a challenge. Okay, now I have to do it.
Yeah.
Just because you said those words.
Yeah.
Just because I said it was too hard to myself, like, oh, okay, doesn't matter. Now I have to do it. So like it just bypasses, like what you're having is a logical conversation on, I can't do it yet. So catching it and triggering yourself to then logically say, okay, well, I just can't do it yet. But you may not catch that part of it fast enough and the emotions take over. So.
And I think too, for me, certainly for me anyway, it's, I think the dog would like to join us just a minute. He's very cute. He's 9. For me, if I'm stuck with something, it's clarity. It's not that I can't do it. It's I can't see how to do something if I'm in that zone of this is difficult for me. So the clarity. And once I get the clarity on what the simple steps are that I need to take in order to do the thing, then I'm fine.
See, I don't know. I disagree. I think the how never matters. It's the decision to do it, and then you can figure out the how. It's the clarity over the decision that this is happening. Tess, we're doing this, so figure it out, and then you just go figure it out. And who cares if the first step is right or not?
Yeah, I think we're agreeing. I actually think we're agreeing. But
okay.
Yeah. I'm just distracted by fluffiness here with my dog. I think, and for some people...
How friendly is that dog? It doesn't look like a friendly dog.
He loves me.
No, I know he loves you, but I feel like if somebody came over to the house...
No, he is super friendly.
Really?
And and
listen,
we...
Miles, you don't look very friendly. I'm going to get a lot of hate on this. He doesn't... I mean, he looks very chill right now, but I can imagine him...
Everybody loves Miles. He's a bit of a star. Everybody loves Miles. And... we have a big park outside our apartment building, and he runs with the biggest grin on his face. Wow. And everyone says to me, look at how happy your dog is. He is just smiling at everybody, which is true.
But he's not he's not a big barker or yapper?
No.
Wow. All right. Cool.
No, he's a gentleman.
Well, I apologize, Miles.
I only allow gentlemen into my apartment. No yappers or barkers. No, we don't.
All right.
You were proved wrong. Oh, he's lovely. Right. If he gets a fright, so if someone knocks at the door and he gets a fright, he'll bark for 2 minutes, but then he'll lick the person to death when they come inside. Yeah. I think, for some people, I was talking about this on the weekend too, the fear of, and this is a big one for a lot of people, the fear of the criticism that comes from those closest to them. So everybody says, oh, well, you're going to put yourself out online, you're going to put yourself out there. What about trolls? And people actually aren't as scared of trolls when they dig into it as they are of, their friend next door or their professional colleague or their parents or their cousins or their aunts. Those comments that can really cut to the quick and cut people off at the knees. I've noticed, just how much that keeps people from being vulnerable and open and talking about their experiences and putting themselves out there online. You've got a large following and you get, I guess, the volume of comments that you have, and you've got somebody who helps you with all of that stuff. Mm-hmm. But do you have people whose comments affect you like that, or do they not comment on your stuff, or do they not see your stuff?
I mean, so here's the thing. So one, if it's somebody who I don't know who's leaving a nasty comment, the emotions in me will rile up if it's against somebody that I know. Like if I have a picture with you from something and somebody's attacking you, that'll get me pissed off.
Yeah.
But if it's come after me, it's I'll default into empathy mode. I had a guy today, I posted one of my cartoons on LinkedIn, and he's just attacking the cartoon. Is why is that guy wearing sneakers? And he doesn't look like he's happy. It's it's a cartoon. Dude, are you kidding me? And so it's the amount, and then he's getting into a fight with somebody else who's and they're going on this threaded comment about the cartoon. It's are you kidding me? Anyway, so I imagine like, man, this person, if he's thinking this way, must so hate his life. Like this is his entire life. He just gets into fights. Because if that's how you're doing it here, like you're doing that everywhere. He's going home and he's getting into stupid fights with his wife and his friends and his, like, he just hates his entire life is filled with these stupid petty fights, and nobody actually wants to be his friend. Like that's what I'm telling myself.
Yeah.
And so now it's really hard to hate this guy when you realize how much he hates his whole life.
Yeah.
And so my default response will just be sending you love, man. And Twitch is the best for this. So I stream on Twitch, right? And there's a lot of kids who just go on Twitch who are like super negative and super toxic, right? And a lot of them may not know me because people in my community know me, but and tilting is an expression in gaming where you get so pissed that something happens that you just throw the game. Right? Like somebody killed you or you made a mistake and like, oh, and then you just give up on the whole game. And it's rough in the game I play, you're 5 against 5. So if one of your teammates tilts and throws the game away, it's really hard to win because now you're playing 4 against 5, right? And so people in the comments are either one saying, Evan, don't tilt. You just died there. Don't tilt. It's like, you don't even know who you're talking to. You think like that I died in a video game is gonna get me all upset? Are you kidding me? It's like you have no idea. And then like
so sweet. It's sweet though.
It's super, but it's so in the gaming culture. And I have to watch out for not using psychological warfare to my advantage because I can so easily tilt the other team. And then they get upset, and then like they're trying to tilt me. It's like, oh, you're not going to tilt me, but I can get you. And so I have to like, oh, don't be evil. I want to win so bad, but like, because if you just mess up one person on their team, you win.
Yeah.
You just use psychological warfare and you win. So I have to really like every now and then it slips out. That's my dark side. The competitive side slips out. But I try to refrain it because I could win a whole lot more games if I just went hardcore on finding the weakest link and just push, because everybody goes, not everybody, a lot of people go there, they just came back from school or a job that they hate and they're like massively frustrated, emotions on the high, and they're just ready to freak out.
So I guess you have to remind yourself that you might actually be sledging an 8-year-old.
Oh, I don't care. I want to win, right? I mean, that side of Evan takes over. Like, it doesn't matter. I want to win, but I've had to catch myself. Like, okay. You know what? Let's send love. People come up and attack me. Sending you love, man. Just like the default reply. So to your question, a total stranger leaving a comment, that's where I'll go by default. This person hates everything in their life, so it's really hard to be angry at them. If it's somebody close to me, like if Nina said something, or if Dr. Tess came on and said, Evan, man, that video sucked. You're so ugly and your breast stinks, or like, I don't know, whatever. Like, if it's a constructive criticism, I love it, right? Like, tell me I suck. If you said, hey, Evan, your intro sucked and you should do this, that's the best. So it'd have to be something where it's like not constructive. You're just trying to hate for whatever reason, right? Like, I call your dog mean or whatever. My default mode would be then, Tess must be having a really bad day for something, right? Like, this isn't how Tess normally is, because I don't have anybody in my life who's normally like that.
Yeah. And I think some people do, though. I think some people do. I think some people have people in their lives who feel that it's okay to comment and criticize and give them a hard time about things. I
just don't talk about it. Like you limit. Yeah. Like, we will not talk about these things, right? This topic is off limit because it just causes a rift in our relationship.
That's right. Yeah, and I think that's sensible. I often say to people, don't be afraid to block friends and family, specific friends and family, from your work-related or business-related profiles. It would be like going to a 21st birthday. You ask to give a speech and you get up and you speak about your special interest in immunobiology, or I don't know, genetics or whatever. It's the wrong audience. You know,
Yeah.
you can't expect, you know, a party audience to be interested in what you do or to get what you're doing as an entrepreneur or a business person. So if they don't get it and they come accordingly, they don't belong in that room. They belong in a different room. So
I
usher
think
them to the right room and keep them out of the wrong room.
I think people need to learn how to be adults in relationships with people who are older than them. You have to be the adult with your mom, with your older sister or your older brother. Like, stop expecting them to do the right thing all the time.
Yeah.
They don't have any boundaries. You need to set the boundaries and then stick to them.
That's
right?
right.
So like there's a friend of mine who anytime religion comes up, ends up in this giant debate. And it's like, I don't want to, so it's like religion. Okay, you know what? Anything else? Great. So we're just not going to talk about this because that causes a strain on our friendship. So we're going to stick to these other things, right? It's the same thing. Like if your mom is upset that you're not married yet, you're allowing that to happen. Like you need to set the boundaries and understand that you need to be the adult in this situation. You're still expecting your mom to be your mom who's making all the right decisions for you, right?
Yeah. And I think that's hard for some people. You know, we're talking about vulnerability, and I think that really pushes a lot of people's vulnerability button.
Okay, but
you know that's
you know,
super hard. Yeah. But
we do hard things.
I think we do. That's right.
We do hard things, right? Like
things.
hard. Everything you want in life is on the other side of hard.
Yeah.
You complain or you do the hard thing. In every situation, you complain or you do the hard thing. Like
you do the things that make you want to vomit, and then it's easier on the other side. You know, it actually feels better when you set the boundary and stuck to it, even though it felt like you were going to throw up.
See, I don't like I like the feeling better. I don't like feeling easier. There's this great saying that I forget where I heard it. It's an African saying. I love it so much. We talk about it, the mountain.
Okay.
Do we talk about the mountain?
No, this is the one.
Oh my, I love this so much.
What is it? I don't know.
I almost want to make it my new Instagram bio. I might have to after today.
Okay.
Behind the mountains are more mountains.
Yes.
It's so good. I
love it.
It's like it's the best, right? So that's why like it's not easier on the other side. No, there's more crazy mountains for you to climb on the other side, right?
Yeah.
You'll feel better.
But you get it, and you become a better mountain climber the more mountains you climb.
And now
you
get
climb
more bigger mountains.
At it.
Yes.
And you climb bigger mountains, and it's not as scary to climb a mountain.
No, Tess. No, it's not as scary. We're climbing bigger mountains because we do scary things.
What I'm getting at is it's not as scary to do scary things as it was the first time you did a scary thing. You know,
then you're playing small. No. Then you're just doing the same thing. Like you're climbing up to bigger mountains. You should be scared. If like the scariest thing you did was in your 20s, then you hate your life.
I'm not saying we don't do scary things. We do. But I think we recognize that we can do scary things. The more scary things we do, the scarier things we will continue to do because we have faith that we can do them. You know, we stop doubting our ability to do the scary things, is what I'm getting at. Well, once again, we are agreeing.
Even if you doubt your ability, it's the effort in trying the scary thing that we're rewarding, not our ability to make it happen. Yeah.
That's right.
Yeah.
That's it.
So this is like, as fast as I'm like cutting you off, I'm cutting myself off in my head when I talk, right? It's like, oh, that's too scary. Scary? What are you talking about? You're not allowed to say that. Now we have to do it, right? Like the fact that you said that means we have to go off and do it.
Yeah.
Behind the mountain, more mountains. Let's go.
I love it. I don't know if you've talked to me about this before, but somebody has. And, the idea of, what do you see when you get to the top of the mountain, or what do you do when you get to the top of the mountain? You look around, and of course there are more mountains to be climbed. And it's a perfect analogy for business ownership, because there are always more mountains. You overcome one thing as a business owner, and then there's another thing waiting to be overcome. It's just the journey. I often say that business ownership, it's a roller coaster, not a carousel. You're going to go up and down. You're not going to go around and around in sedate, gentle circles.
And you want there to be more mountains.
You want there to be more mountains. Of course you do. It's in your blood.
Right. You don't want
In
an
your
easier life.
DNA.
You don't actually want an easier life. Nobody wants.
No.
If you want an easier life, it's because you hate your life right now. You hate what you're doing.
Yeah.
In the
and there
micro.
are moments when you might.
In the
so
micro.
There might be moments.
In the micro.
So if I'm tired today, I want an easier life today because I'm tired.
Right.
If I'm not tired, bring me the mountains. I want more mountains. I'm up for it, So yeah, it's about recognizing where you're at, and maybe listening. If you need a break, have a break. But also, don't kid yourself. There's always going to be more mountains.
Yeah, I think people give themselves a break too much, though. It's real, and yes, there are times you have to be gentle on yourself, and taking care of your mental health is a real issue. But I think people, I think like more often than not, people let themselves off the hook when they shouldn't, and then they feel bad about it afterwards.
Yeah, maybe. I know. Yeah, but it's a balance. There is a balance to be found there. I agree.
So I was telling our mutual friend Mark Drager about. He says when he does difficult things, he reminds himself of the other difficult things that he's done, and that gives him the boldness to go do the difficult thing that he needs to go off and do. And I said, that's not going to work a lot of times. And he wasn't happy with me. So it's not going to work a lot of times because you're trying to solve an emotional problem with a logical solution. And what's going to happen is your brain will kick in and say, yeah, but that other difficult thing you'd solved before wasn't the same. This is different. And now you got your head fighting your head.
Yeah.
And I told him the answer is you're Mark Drager and you do difficult things. Period. You shut off the whole conversation and the logic. And he wasn't buying it. But then he came back and he told me the next week that he went on a treadmill and he was going to run like the fastest that he ever ran. And he was having a really hard time doing it. And he was trying to convince himself that, like, listen, I'm the guy who lost 50 pounds and I'm the guy who did all this stuff. And he said it wasn't enough. And then he told himself, I do difficult things. And then he ran it. It's like, that's what I'm talking about. You have to shortcut it. There's got to be something like this has to have been proven out. Like, how do you like shortcutting like that as opposed to going through the logical argument to an emotional problem? What is that? What's the technical term?
Well, I think we are a logical species. We talk ourselves through situations. We describe our environment. Since we developed language, that's one of our survival skills is being able to describe our environment. Oh, there's a snake there. I won't go there. I'll go this way instead. That kind of stuff. And then we default to trying to describe our environment to get ourselves through difficult things and talking ourselves through things. And we see it all the time in psychological therapy where people are arguing with themselves. And all it is, it's another form of procrastination. It's another form of anxiety. It's another form of worry, this constant rabbiting on and arguing with yourself. If you can find something, like you saying, if you can find something that triggers the go switch, like triggers the motivation, triggers the self-belief, or triggers the energy that you need to do the thing, we are wired up. Our brains are wired up in such a way that we also default to efficiency. So if you've done something regularly enough that creates a shortcut, your brain will opt for that. That's how you can drive from point A to point B and not remember the journey, because you've become so used to that journey, you've become so used to that drive, your brain's almost in a little bit of autopilot mode. So there are some things that we can, if we believe them, if we genuinely buy into it, it can act like a shortcut. It can cut to the chase and get you in there. I mean, Nike, with the Just Do It brand, we're kind of playing on that a little bit. This whole finding something that people can just buy into and believe and cut the crap,
so it's a trigger.
Cut the chatter, cut the noise, and just go and just press the go button. So it's sort of playing both sides of the brain. On one hand, we are designed to be logical and argue everything out. On the other hand, our brains are wired to look for shortcuts.
I think we're actually macro emotional, micrological, and all of our logic stuff is just to prove most of the time what our emotions are feeling.
I think the logic is also, it's also a defensive mechanism.
But there's still emotions. Like you're defensive because
Yeah.
of emotion.
Yeah.
You're
What I
afraid, so
mean
you
by
find
that,
a way.
yeah. So you try
Yeah.
to logic yourself out of it. People say, I'm being a realist, I'm being realistic, or I'm trying to plan, I'm trying to be organized.
Yeah.
And it's
You're
like, bullshit.
afraid.
You're scared, and that's right. You're procrastinating, and you're calling it something clever like being organized or planning or being realistic. No, none of that. You're actually just
Can I ask you a crazy question?
Sure, but it'd be crazy though.
So Mark Drager has always prided himself on being a thinker.
Yep.
But he's been moving. I said, Mark, you feel way more than you think. You just convince yourself that you're a thinker. And on one of our podcasts, he said that his expertise, like when he's talking to clients, why he's so great is three things. And one was something, three was something, but second was feeling. And I stopped and said, wait, Mark, your expertise is in feeling? I didn't even catch it. He had said that. And I told him now, that was like maybe 2 months ago. Today, he retook his personality test and he came out feeling instead of thinking. Now, whether personalities change and how much you believe in the personality test, Myers-Briggs and whatever, that's not what I'm here to debate.
No.
I actually think everybody is both, but you're a macro feeler first. Everybody's a feeler first. You're an emotional creature first. There's nobody who's a thinker first. You've just convinced yourself that you are because you live in an emotional state of fear and insecurity. But you're actually a feeler. There are no thinkers first. It's just a story.
Yeah, it's absolutely true. And
you think that's true? That's a crazy idea.
It's not a crazy idea at all. I think
that goes against every personality test and all the science and data and research. I mean, I haven't read all that stuff, but
of course you haven't. We from an evolutionary perspective, our capacity to think things through, our ability to logic our way out of things evolved much later. You know, the brain's such an interesting thing. You know, our sense of smell bypasses, I'm not going to go into it, but basically, like, you can look at the brain and look at, from an evolution perspective, what developed first. Sense of smell developed first. And so, you know, as a survival thing, we're able to smell danger and smell our way around things. You know, intuition, whatever you want to call it, sensitivity, awareness, emotion, whatever you want to call it, that stuff is all survival based. And the ability to logic our way out of things came later. And it's the same, you look at a baby is reacting to its environment. It's communicating when it's crying. It's communicating, it's seeking help, it's seeking safety, it's seeking reassurance, and it's seeking nurturing, feeding, changing, all those things, but it's seeking support and nurturing. Baby isn't logicking its way through life, but a baby can be taught to override its own instincts, just as a mother can be taught, or a father can be taught to override their own parenting instincts if they listen to the wrong parenting book. Don't get me started on that stuff.
So anybody who self-identifies, as a thinker more than a feeler is in denial.
It can be, well, not necessarily, because it can
come on, Tess.
Wait, it can become your default setting if you train yourself to override your instincts. A lot of people do that. Like, how many people have you spoken to who have really good instincts? I mean, most of my mentoring clients, most of my, you know, when I'm working clinically with people who are new parents, they mostly have really sound instincts, but they're doubting themselves and they're overriding the feelings that they're having and overlaying logic on top of that, and then they get stuck in this logic loop.
I just
Whereas if they listen to their instincts,
I think,
but then, that's where the doubt, you know.
But then the default isn't logic. The default is still emotion, which is fear, that then gets disguised as logic.
Yes.
So if you self-identify as a logical thinker instead of a feeler, you're in denial.
For a lot of people, there are some people.
Almost had it. We almost had it.
I would say for most people, if we all things being equal, for most people, it's a habit. It's a protective habit.
It's just fear. If you self-identify as a thinker,
Yeah.
you're just scared.
Most things. Yeah, most things are just fear. You know, most things when we're hesitating to do things, when we're not listening to
we're
our inner
emotional first.
wisdom. You know,
Anyway, good.
Yeah,
I thought that would go a
agree.
lot rougher than it did, to be honest. That goes
Were you
against
trying to
a
pick
lot.
a fight? Were you trying to pick a fight with me?
No. Look, I was not. I don't think I even vocalized that to anybody yet. That's the first time I even talked about it, because I value your perspective.
Cool.
I was expecting a lot more like scientific rigor and like, no, there's people who are like this from my client work.
Well, there are. Of course, there are. You know, we are not all identical, but I think most people, when they're hesitating and they're overlaying logic, they're doing it because they're scared. They're not trusting their instincts. They're not trusting that inner voice that's telling them. They're not listening.
But I see it as
they're
like
overriding.
I see the percentage of when you see most people. That's a big, like, it could be a lot of things. I see it as like saying most people don't enjoy killing people, but some do, right? Like,
yeah, right.
The 0.00001%, right?
Yeah. But we can be talking about someone who's had brain injury or someone who has, you know, some kind of neuroatypical.
Okay, but is that what you're talking about? Or are you talking about like a wider gap? What's most people?
The average person on the street.
Okay.
You know, I think, well, that's what I say, all things being equal. Yeah, all things being equal.
But things aren't equal. If you're saying, okay, unless you've had a brain injury, which is like a tiny percentage of people.
No. But you know, there's lots of 1%ers out there. So 1% of people will have a personality disorder, or 1% of people will have had, you know, a brain injury of X type, or, you know, we can pick the eyes out of all that's the different reasons why someone might be different. But I'm saying,
so you're talking
overall,
like the vast majority.
Correct.
Almost all of humanity. Just the crazy
I met them
outliers.
all and I asked them. Yeah.
Okay. Well, I haven't talked to them. I think that's legit. I think personality tests need to be redone, or I think anybody who identifies as a thinker needs extra work and extra love and extra care.
And I should just add, you know, just as a general caveat, because obviously this is a public forum, you know, be really careful with online personality tests. If you want a proper personality test done, and you go and speak with someone who's trained in conducting personality assessments, you know, don't just fill in something online and interpret it yourself, because it will be different every time you do it, and your personality won't be different day to day. Your personality is constant. You can have traits that change over time, like confidence and outspokenness and extroversion and all that sort of stuff can sort of shift and change over time and with maturity. But generally speaking, there's a lot of stuff available on the internet that people put too much emphasis on the power of. So that's a little bit of a caveat there.
Don't pay attention to those internet personality tests. Instead, pay attention to this internet YouTube video, because this is truth.
This is the bomb. Yes.
Yes, I was supposed to take it easy, not get riled up, relax my voice. I failed in my attention. I'll have to do better next time.
Well, it wouldn't have been anywhere near as much fun if you'd been all you know, on the down low.
The goal wasn't fun. The goal was calm.
The goal is always fun. Come on.
All right. So what's my homework?
Dog hair on my nose. Oh God, homework. Look after your throat. Look after your energy, and continue to be awesome. That's all I've got for you today. Because my brain is still on a boat. I've been sitting here swaying the whole time.
I need to inject more more the vulnerability. I got to find a way to inject more vulnerability still into all my conversations.
Well, just tune into the sensitivity of it. So just noticing the opportunity.
Yeah.
And going with it.
Looking for it. I'm searching for it.
Yeah.
I got to search
because
for it.
It's almost like this is part of, you know, you're built to serve. Part of your mission is to actually illustrate to your audience your humanity, so that they can feel, oh, well, if Evan can overcome this thing, or if Evan can have days like that, or if Evan can have moments like that, then I can do hard things too, or I can do scary things too. I shared with some of my mentoring clients my first ever live stream video, and oh man, it's
So
ugly. It's so bad. And I said to them, I hate it. I hate showing this. I hate the fact that it's still on YouTube, but it will always be there.
Yeah.
Because I need you to see. I mean, it's actually, when I look at, you know, as far as videos go, it's fine. Like, it's actually fine. But I was so intensely nervous when I did that thing. And so for me, it's really important that they understand that when they're nervous, because they've not done a lot of live streaming or any live streaming yet, you know, don't look at how confident I am now and think I can never be that. Look at how nervous I was then, and oh, well, she overcame it, then maybe I can too. You know, it's really important to share that with your audience, the humanity.
There's a lot of stuff that I believe and I do that is weird and not relatable. So that's where this piece really helps.
Yeah. Yeah.
All right, I'm gonna keep working on it. I'm gonna get better.
Alrighty.
I'm gonna get better. It's the next
Alrighty.
evolution. Appreciate the
All
love,
right.
Dr. Test, world-renowned
Always.
psychologist,
No.
psychic,
Not well. No.
mentalist,
No.
dog trainer,
Dog lover.
troublemaker, and
Yes.
what was it? What else did I add that you really liked?
Was it
Provocateur.
No, was it?
Yeah.
Was
Provocateur.
It? Was it?
Yeah, provocateur. You like the provocateur.
That'll do.
Yeah.
I did like that. Yeah.
And secret James
Trouble.
Bond spy with her
Yeah.
ninja purse. You see
And
that
I'm
boss
totally not a
lady
Bond
purse?
girl. I am not a Bond girl. I am Bond.
No. She's the spy. She's the killer.
Yeah, totally.
She's got the purse, says boss lady. There's 14 assassin
I've got
weapons
the
in
purse.
there.
It's
Go
14,
check her out.
yes.
Appreciate you, Tess. Much love. Bye.
You too. Bye.
If you want to see the last time Tess and I connected when I was in Puerto Rico, check out the video right there next to me. I think you'll enjoy it. Continue to believe, and I'll see you there.
So I've got good news and bad news for you. People loved it. Like, people freaked out. I had a standing ovation at the end of it. I think that's the magic. Like, that is the magic of Evan Carmichael.